Madison mom. Just a little bit about me. Been married for about 25 years, have 2 great kids. Our daughter Rachel is going to be 24, and then we have our son Matt that's 22. Matt was diagnosed with special needs just before he was 3. He was diagnosed with autism, and then about right around age 11, he was diagnosed with Tourette's as well. So I just wanted to come and thank Melanie and Sean and everybody at the library for giving me this opportunity to reach out. I just kind of want this to be really informal, just providing some information, kind of the information I would have liked to have had when I was, going through our early journey through special needs. Please don't take anything that I'm saying as advice or a recommendation. It's strictly what has worked for me, has worked for my family. I'd be more than happy if my contact information is at the end. If you want to reach out to me via text, my number's there, email, let me know, and I'd be more than happy to help you out.
We've been kicking your car. So give me a second to get over there. All right, so that's going to be the dominant screen. And you're good to go.
Okay. And as I mentioned, this is just a little bit about our journey through special needs. I'm not, again, looking to provide you with any advice per se. Everybody's journey through special needs is different, and there are detours all the time. So this is just meant to be, let's get together, give you an outlet. If you need somebody to get you some resources, I'll do what I can. But other than that, I'm just going to give you some information today. Probably the most important thing I can say is when your child gets diagnosed with special needs, your version of what you thought normal was going to be completely changes. And that takes a lot to get used to. So give yourself a break. Take things one day at a time. Just let yourself breathe a little bit. You don't have to solve all the problems in one day. And if your child gets what some people call a label, I call it a direction. By knowing how to help your child, if that's a label, if that's whatever it is, use that for your advantage. Don't get hung up on the label as it being something wrong. It gives you an idea of how to best help them. So let me see here. So it's okay to not always be okay. I had many days where it was like, why me? Why Matt? Why our family? And then I decided, instead of asking why, I asked, how can I make Matt's life the best way it can possibly be? I want the same hopes and dreams for him that I want for our daughter. His is just a little bit different. So be patient with yourself and don't feel like you have to solve everything in one day. One of the first things I would say when you do find out that your child has special needs is reach out to your school district. Every school district has a special ed department. Contact the Board of Education, reach out to them. Even if your child is not school age, simply because there's early intervention, there's school age, there's adult services. Your school district's going to be your best friend in this whole situation. Also, I would reach out to your Board of Developmental Disabilities. Every county in Ohio has one. Reach out to them. There are amazing resources that are at absolutely no cost to you. And they're also people that will help you on your journey so you don't feel like you have to do everything on your own. One of the first things that you're going to find out when you're with the school district is they're going to perform what's called an ETR, or an evaluation team report. It's sometimes called an MFE. You'll find that special needs is full of acronyms. An MFE is a multi-factored evaluation. And in short, a team is going to get together, usually run by the school district's psychologist. They're going to look at every facet of your child. And they're going to define what they have problems with. They're also going to notice what their strengths are. So you can build on those strengths and not completely focus on the weakness. But when you sit down to get that ETR evaluation report, I had a very difficult time because I felt like all we were doing was discussing what Matt couldn't do. And then I realized I knew what Matt couldn't do. This puts it on paper, so anyone that reads that can help him. So it's a little hard to hear at the beginning, but it is something you have to get it out there. It does get easier. These do happen every 3 years. It is 2 meetings. You'll get together and plan, decide what areas they're going to look into. Then each individual person will go out and do each evaluation. Sometimes it'll be a hearing test, might be an IQ test. I had actually several reports that I had to fill out because obviously your child's different at home than they are at school. So again, if you're in that situation and you're overwhelmed, ask your school district to explain it to you. Ask them for some guidance on that. They'll be there to help you out. And this is just a little bit more about that ETR. So there's a lot more information on there. The next thing you're going to hear about is called an Individualized Education Plan, or an IEP. That is where the parents or guardians, the school district, and you can even have an advocate come along if you'd like, get together and work on a plan. It's an annual meeting that happens, and what happens is there's goals, there's objectives that are set, there's accommodations that can be made. For example, maybe your child is having a difficult time being around typical children in like a gymnasium setting or a lunchroom setting. Maybe a goal on their IEP is by the end of this IEP, we're hoping that they're able to, be in that environment for a longer period of time. An IEP is very important because it holds the school district responsible to make sure that they are working on these goals. And it also gives you a level of measurement because they will submit to you progress reports throughout the time. It is a working document. At any point during the school year, you can convene an IEP meeting. If you want changes made, anything like that. So it is a working document. So that's important to remember. You're not held to that for one solid year. One thing I did want to mention too is you're going to have a lot of people are going to come and go in your child's life throughout your special needs journey. And sometimes you are going to click with just that one intervention specialist or that one special ed teacher, that one aide. And they're going to love your child, and if they're in it for your child's best interest. And at the end of that school year, you're incredibly sad because your time with them is over. On the other hand, you're also going to have years where everyone's not going to be on the same page, and it's going to be a struggle. I don't want to candy coat it. I want to be completely transparent. You're going to have those times. All I can say, the most important thing I can say is communication. Communication is huge. I can say on many sides, I was at fault for not communicating well with my school district, and it caused more difficulties than there needed to be. Same, they felt that I should have known something that I didn't. So I can't stress enough how important communication is. Whether it's an email, whether you text back and forth, however you work it out best, go ahead and work on that communication, because that's going to be the key. That's going to be the defining moment as to how your year goes, is the communication that you have. So other than communication, and that goes with doctors, that goes with anyone who interacts with your child on a professional level, don't assume that they know, and make sure that you ask questions. Nothing wrong with asking questions. A lot of these professionals, they do this day in and day out every day. They may not know that you don't know something unless you ask them. So don't be afraid of ruffling someone's feathers at an IEP meeting or anything like that. Don't be concerned with that, because you need to know. You are the constant in your child's journey. You and your child are in this for the long haul. So you want to make sure that you have everything that you need to build on for their success. A couple of things I have on here. This is just a little more information about an IEP meeting. And there's one thing I did want to bring specific attention to. It's the fourth bullet point down. In an IEP meeting, I felt myself constantly coming in and saying, well, I want Matt to have more speech therapy, or I want Matt to this. And then I realized it wasn't a want. This was a need that Matt had. So what I chose to do is, instead of saying, I want Matt to have this, I said, Matt needs this. It changes the complete dynamic of the conversation, and it expresses the fact that it's a need of your child. So that's definitely just a small thing you can do to totally change the dynamic of the meetings. That's one thing I would recommend considering doing at your next IEP meeting. Sometimes your child is not going to be placed in their school district. When Matt was younger, Madison schools were a little bit different. The autism unit had just began. So he was actually bused to a different school within our school district. Now it's very different. Most elementary schools and such have, special needs units built in. There's going to be a time possibly that maybe your local school district doesn't have the ability to meet your child's needs. The IEP team will decide that. and decide where the best placement is. There's a link at the bottom of this slide that actually was a YouTube video about 2 different scholarships that the Ohio Department of Education does make available for parents with special needs. Just a disclaimer, I have never applied for one, nor do I know exactly how they work. They're very valuable, and they're a wonderful resource if you do decide to send your child to a private educational facility. Breathe. It's hard to. It's very hard when you're overwhelmed in an IEP meeting or you just can't seem to figure out how to best help your child. Breathe. Special needs is all-encompassing, it is overwhelming, and it is exhausting. But all you have to do is remember why you're doing it. Remember why. And you are doing everything you can to give your child the very best educational experience, life experience that you possibly can. But don't expect yourself to be perfect. Don't put that kind of pressure on yourself, because that's just a bar that none of us can meet, and that's not fair to do to yourself. So the Lake County Board of Developmental Disabilities information will be up here for anyone in Lake County. It's an incredible resource. They have amazing amounts of resources, and there are so many people there that are there to help you. You just need to reach out and let them know you're there. There's waiver programs. There are many things that are available to you at absolutely zero cost. So reach out, make that phone call, and like I said, your contact information is there. If the people on my slide aren't the people you need, they will get you to who you need. I have no doubt. That's just a couple more individuals at the Lake County Board of Developmental Disabilities. And every county in Ohio has their own board. So if you're not from Lake County, if you're from Asheville, Geauga, or even not even in Ohio, reach out to your local Board of Developmental Disabilities. They'll be more than happy to take care of you. I also shared here a couple of different links as far as the Ohio Department of Education. Their website is amazing. I set some things here. There's some preschool education information. There's also some information for parents. I found that link to be updated very often, and it's very, very useful. Couple last things to wind up. Some of you may not know, when you have a special needs child, when that child turns 18, if they are not able to care for themselves, whether that be their day-to-day living, whether it be their setting up their medical appointments, money, things like that, you will need to file for guardianship, even if you are a parent. So that is something that you definitely want to prepare for. I am Matt's legal guardian. There's a bunch of different ways you can go about it. You can be the guardian of the person, the guardian of the estate. Again, it's just something I encourage you to look out and reach out and look into before they turn 18. So that way you know what to expect. Also, Social Security Administration. Depending on income level, there are some Social Security dollars that might be available to your family prior to your child turning 18. Also, once they turn 18, they would be eligible for Social Security disability benefits based on their disability. Again, you'd have to reach out to these entities, go through the application process, and ask them any questions that you would have. I'd be more than happy if you have any questions on how my experience has gone to share those, not a problem. So other than that, the last thing I want to say is this is the most important thing. See the able behind the label. That label is just giving you direction. That's all it is. It does not define who your child is. It does not define what they can and cannot do. So it's a hard thing, but focus on what that label gives you as far as direction, and not just that it labels your child that there's anything wrong with them. There's nothing wrong. They just do things a little bit differently. So thank you guys very much. And if you have any questions or anything, my contact information is at the end, and have a great, great day.